I want to talk to you guys about my job and give you a little update. And this is probably going to be a long video because there's a lot to talk about. So I think it'll be worth it though. So, take my word for it or something. I don't know. I am driving the Model Y today. Just a few little other updates. My Model 3 is still out on rent, so I don't have it right now. And my Lightning is actually right here where I'm passing right now, getting detailed. And that leaves me with the Model 3. Yep, the Lightning is currently being worked on. I've just seen it. That leaves me with the Model Y and the Dually. And I just didn't want to drive the Dually. It's actually raining today, so, one of those situations. So, I chose to drive the Model Y. I'm going to go an hour down the road and hit up Walmart and maybe Jimmy John's, because I haven't had Jimmy John's in forever. Anyway, off track. One other update that I wanted to say, I did officially sign with a new realtor this past week. So hopefully my property will get sold. She is officially listing it on July 1st, which may or may not be after, before this video. Yeah, so let's talk about my job. Okay, so I made a video a month or so ago just kind of saying, this is what we were doing. The job that I had was pretty much being ended, and I had to basically take over doing something else. For the past couple of months, my role at the job has been, go in, move cars, help in the return lane. Sometimes I'll go help the counter. Sometimes I'll help the emerald aisle. So, I just do whatever. Sometimes I'll even clean cars, which was a huge mistake on my part, because I let them know that I could clean cars, and then I was expected from that point on to clean cars. So I didn't really like that, but whatever. My job is technically CXR, which is Customer Experience Representative, and my actual job description is customer service. As long as I'm providing customer service, I'm doing my job. And that's where the issue comes. So I had a situation where, I used to work at Signature. I used to deal with very expensive rentals and very high priority people. That's just the way things worked. So we had a customer who rented a car for 6 months. And that rental accounted for like $14,000. I mean, it was kind of a big deal in my opinion. And so I handled that customer from start to finish. I made sure everything was perfect. I communicated with that customer. I gave them my phone number, my personal cell phone number, which my work doesn't pay for my cell phone. So, there was no requirement to give the customer my cell phone number. But I wanted to make sure that we had a solid form of communication. The customer could always reach out to me because it's kind of a big deal rental. It's one of our most expensive rentals. So, customer reaches out to me, and this obviously all of this happened before we were taken out of Signature. But the customer reaches out to me and says, "Hey, I'm in this car where, mother-in-law just had surgery and she can't get in and out of the car. We need a car that's lower to the ground." Not a problem. So I let the customer know, we'll do the swap out for him. Just bring it over, let me know when you're coming, and I'll get you some options. So that's exactly what we did. Customer said he was coming in, I think it was a Saturday, and he would be there at about 12:30. I was like, okay, perfect. I didn't know when he was coming in. He texted me about 45 minutes before he showed up to say, "Hey, we're coming 12:30. I was on lunch at the time. So I left my lunch early because I knew that we needed to get this customer taken care of. That was more important to me than anything else. So I left my lunch. I went and secured a Ford Edge, which the customer had mentioned that he would take a Ford Edge. I also got a Jeep Grand Cherokee because personally I like the Grand Cherokees better. And if it was, low enough to where they could get in it easier, he may want that instead. He was bringing his mother-in-law with him because she just had surgery, and they wanted to make sure she could get in and out of the cars easily. Everything sounded great to me. So I get the cars together. I set up a meeting spot for the customer to meet me there, and I go wait. And like I say, I think the official time they were supposed to be there was 12:30, 12:45, something along those lines. And at 12:30, my manager starts texting me wanting to know what I'm doing. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm helping a customer. Spoke to the customer earlier. He wants to swap out into something smaller, VIP customer. So I'm just waiting on him to show up so I can do the swap, have a talk with him, get him going, and then I can go back to doing whatever I was doing. Now, what I was doing before that was moving cars. Not entirely my job description, but like I said, I'm a team player. I'll do whatever. It doesn't matter to me. So, manager texts me and says that he wants me to abandon post and go clean cars. And I'm thinking, well, I feel like this is more important than that, and I respectfully decline. That's just not how I'm going to do it. Like, my job is to do customer service. My job is not to clean cars. So I'll be glad to go help you clean cars when I'm done here. So fast forward, 10 minutes, he's texting me again, telling me that instead he wants me to go move cars now. And I'm just like, yeah, moving cars, still not nearly as important as what I'm doing. So, gotcha. Do it when I'm done. So, at that point, he employs one of the station managers, his name is Dustin, to come over and tell me basically the same thing. And I'm just like, I explained to Dustin why I thought the situation that I was dealing with was more important than the situation I was being asked to do. And Dustin just kind of said, okay, and walked off. So I thought we were good. And 5 minutes later, Dustin comes back to tell me that I need to go ahead and go do what they asked me to do. And so I told Dustin, at that point, I had just gotten off the phone with the customer. I told Dustin that at that point, the customer was 5 minutes away. She said she just got off interstate. She was coming over to swap the car out. I was going to help her. And then I would go back to moving cars, which is what they wanted me to do. Dustin copped an attitude with me and said something along the lines of, "You're going to do it now." And I flipped. I told him that I wasn't playing his micromanaging bullshit, and instead I'd just go home. And that's what I did. I went to my car, but before I left, I went to go try to find Noah, which is my manager, the big manager. Noah ran and hid somewhere. He was not there. So then I went above his head to Danny, which is the area manager. And I cussed at Danny and told him that the lazy fuck Dustin, who plays on his phone all day, tries to tell me what to do, and that's not going to work. So I was hot. I had my words with Danny, and they all pretty much said, we'll handle it. We'll have a conversation about it, blah, 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 blah. That conversation never happened. So I went above their head to HR, and I reported the situation and told them that for now, things are pretty much okay. Nothing was ever done, though, and it needed to be reported formally for when something happens again, because it's not if, it's when. So HR came to the airport and paid a visit and did an investigation, and from that point on, all the managers became aware of the situation and what had happened, and most of the managers sided with me and it was just like, that's horrible, he shouldn't have treated you that way, I can't believe that, blah, 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 blah. Do want to mention, I didn't mention it, we've had issues with Dustin in the past. He only started about 2 weeks before this incident, and he's been observed multiple times playing on his phone, not doing his job, not doing anything. He was sent to help me one day in the return lane, but I was by myself, and instead he sat in the van with the air conditioner running, playing on his phone while I checked in cars. That's not acceptable. If you're not going to work, you don't need to be here. So anyway, reported it to HR, and from that day on, things seemed to be better. Most of the managers agreed with me, sided with me on that situation, and off we go. Dustin ended up having some medical problems. Apparently he is in liver failure and he's in the hospital. They put him in a medically induced coma because of it. And then when they decided that his levels were back to normal, they decided to bring him out of the coma. And when he woke up, he crashed and went into his own coma. So now he's in a coma that's not medically induced in the hospital somewhere. That's current day. I don't hate the guy, but I do feel like an apology would have been acceptable for the way he acted. And of course, you know, they're going to try to spin it and say, oh, well, he was just off because he was sick and we didn't know it. Whatever. You know, you don't come at me like that and don't apologize. If you apologize, I'll be willing to forgive you, give you another chance. I'm a pretty forgiving guy. Anyway, all has been good for, I don't know, the past month now since that situation. Dustin has not been there. He's been in the hospital. So there's not been any issues, and I've not had any problems. So all good. Yesterday, I get a text message asking me what position I want to be in. And I'm like, I want to be in the position I'm already in. What do you mean? Basically, the drive was, you've been doing other jobs, so we want to pay you to do other jobs instead of the job that you were hired to do because you're not doing it. Which I did do it. I actually ran the Emerald Isle last week, which is my job. You know, like that's what I would do typically. That job pays like $17 an hour. Whereas if I want to be return lane, that job pays like $15 an hour. Or if I want to be a driver, that job pays like $9 an hour. So obviously they're wanting to pay me less because I'm jumping around doing all the jobs instead of just doing the one job that I was hired to do. And I basically told him, I was like, look, I mean, you put me whatever you want to put me at, but if you're going to pay me to be a driver, I will never do anything other than drive. Ever. Don't ask, I won't do it. Because I'm only being paid to drive, so that's all I'm going to do. If I'm staying at my current rate, which is the highest paid there, I'll do any job that needs to be done within reason. If I'm helping a customer, I'm not going to pull off. But I will do any job that needs to be done if I'm available. So they want to set up a meeting for this weekend to discuss that. They also want me to start working an extra day a week on Thursday. And I told them I'm unable to do that. I did not come back to this job to work Thursday. The deal was Saturday and Sunday only. And that's the 2 days I want to work. That's the 2 days I'm going to work. So I guess we're going to have a meeting this weekend about it. And I intend to record the meeting because I feel like this is the perfect setup to a retaliation lawsuit. I mean, you know, I complained about a situation. It was not handled. So I went to HR above everybody else. Now they're upset about that and they're going to start trying to retaliate by making my job harder. Oh, you got to do this. And we're going to cut your pay and we're going to make you work more. And that's not working. Coincidentally, in my last video, I did say that in July, I was going to reassess because we should know by July, am I going to get my old job back or not? It's still entirely up in the air at this point because I have heard reports that the company that took over my position is not doing good. Lots of complaints, lots of issues, lots of not doing very good. So there is a possibility that they would bring me back. But at the same time, this company thrives on money. And they're making more money commission-wise off of this other company being here versus my company. So what incentive do they have to bring it back? They don't care about their customers. I mean, they get bad customer service ratings all day. It doesn't hurt them. They're the only one there. So people are going to pay it or stop coming there. And they're not going to stop coming there. So yeah, I think we're at that point. I honestly just want to call it quits. It was a good run. Enjoyed my job while I had it. The job doesn't exist anymore, so call it done. Leave. At the same time, I mean, heck, I may get a payout for a retaliation lawsuit here if they start pushing too hard. Because why was my job okay for the last year and a half that I've been doing it, but all of a sudden now it's not because I complained to HR? Like, that's not how that works. That job, you know, things don't just change like that for no apparent reason. So yeah, that's where we're at. That's the potential update. We'll see where it goes. I know technically you get into litigation, you're not supposed to talk about it like this, but I'm not technically in litigation yet. And and we'll see what happens. So it's late at night, and I worked today. Today was Saturday. I wanted to come on and let me go down to my car, talk about the whole situation with work. And I made this video that you just watched last week, and I wanted to kind of follow up on some of the things there. So what I did was I reread what he had sent me in text message regarding the, you know, the lower paying position or all of that. And I got a different understanding out of it by rereading it, and he's not clear. So it's not 100%, but from the way it seems, he's basically saying that either I can pick up a third day per week and keep my current pay rate, or if I'm going to continue doing 2 days, he's going to move me to a lower pay rate, which is massive illegal. You can't do that. Now, like I said, he's not clear, and that's what he's going to do, but that's the way he words it in the text message. Because it seemed weird. Why would you offer 3 positions, one being the one I'm already in? Doesn't make any sense. And then in the same text message say, you know, well, we need you to pick up a third day, blah, 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 blah. That meeting did not happen today. It is supposed to happen tomorrow. He wasn't in today. And I did get some notifications from the other manager, Noah, that's there, basically telling me that what they had told us previously, where if you take a 30-minute lunch, now they're wanting you to clock out. Used to, if you took a 30-minute lunch, you could stay clocked in, get paid for it. Now they want you to clock out regardless of the time on the lunch. And he's saying that if you want to take a day off, you have to have PTO. They're not going to approve any days off unless you have PTO. Used to, you could just ask 30 days in advance. It was never an issue. They'd give you the day off. So, like I say, I feel like it's clear retaliation, clearly a case here. I do intend to record the meeting tomorrow, and I'm going to let him know at that meeting that tomorrow is my last day. So, I'm done with this. Well, let me give you one final work update and tell you what happened. Let's get in the truck first. So, I was supposed to meet with the area manager on Saturday or Sunday. That was the plan. He did not show up Saturday, which I kind of expected. He usually works on Sundays, not Saturdays, so whatever. But he didn't show up on Sunday either. So I asked, I was like, you know, what's up with this meeting we're supposed to be having today? And the manager there told me that he had some family things to attend to, didn't come in today, and that my pay would stay the same until we could have our meeting, which only further confirms this whole made up bull crap. So I wanted to go over the text message with you guys. I wanted to tell you my interpretation of it. I don't really know, 100% here, but like I said, he's very vague in his words. Obviously, you got to be careful when you're doing something illegal like this. So, in his original message he sent me, he asked me what role did I want to be in. And he listed 3 possibilities, 3 that I do on a regular basis, 1 that I'm already in, and then 2 that are lower paying roles at the company. And I was confused by the question, so I was like, I want to do the one I'm already in. That doesn't make any sense. Why would I want to change roles? And his reply to that was that when I was first hired, I was hired to also work on Thursday. And if I could pick back up on Thursday, then he could work with me on keeping my current rank. And I'm like, what? So clearly to me, that sounds like he's saying, if you don't pick up an extra day every week, we're going to move you to a lower paying position. Again, he's not direct in that. He's very vague. But for the other manager to jump in and say, oh, your pay will remain the same until you can meet with him, they all knew what they were going to do. They just weren't clear about what they were going to do. So I'm not sure if I have enough evidence on that just yet. But after the conversation with the other manager on Saturday about the PTO and the lunch breaks and all that, I had my feel. This job was once great. It was a fun job. I enjoyed the people I worked with, all this other bunch of stuff. It was a great job, but a bad manager can ruin that. And that's exactly what happened. We got a bad manager. He decided that he's going to make up his own rules or enforce rules that are never enforced or whatever. And you can't be too mad about it, because if they are rules that have been overlooked, whatever. But the thing is, it's just awful coincidental that, 2 weeks after I go to HR about a problem I'm having, now all the rules are getting enforced. Just all of a sudden. Not just a few of them, but all of them. It's quite coincidental. So, I'd done made my mind up that I was leaving, and I didn't want anything to do with that anymore. Until both of those managers are replaced, which would probably be in about 3 months with the turnover in this company. But until both of those managers are replaced, I have no interest in working there. So I went ahead and gave him my 2-day notice. I'm leaving today. And I actually left early and didn't look back, because I honestly don't care. I would rather be happy than to have to deal with bull crap. You're always going to have to deal with some level of bull crap when you work for other people. And it was tolerable for the past 6 years until now. But we have a new manager now. I do want to point out, though, after I left, obviously I reached out to all the employees that I knew and, knew me and all this other bunch of stuff. Obviously they're, we hate to see you go, but we completely understand sort of situation. Pretty much everybody doesn't like the new manager. Most of them are just tolerating him until he's gone. But when they start targeting you and going directly after you, then it becomes an issue. I did speak to some of the managers after I had left, and both of them pretty much gave me the same story. They're thinking of leaving as well. They're not happy with the management there. It's really a joke. The place has been going downhill for the past few months because of the management, because of the poor management. They went so far to say that other people had already left for the same reason. So it's only a matter of time before they step in and say, okay, you're losing way too much retention here. What are you doing wrong? So I was glad to know that I'm just one more number to that statistic, that they're going to see, okay, something's wrong here. And I spoke to several other employees. Others had talked about possibly quitting, but they're, financially, they just can't afford to right now. And I get that. But, how much more do you take of it? And I guess if they're not going directly after you, then it's not that hard. But all you got to do is keep your mouth shut and let everybody do what they want to do. And if they're not going to work, then oh well. But if they want to tell you to work, then you just better just take it. That's what you got to do. So, yeah, whatever. I'm done with that. I will enjoy my weekend off this weekend. I did reach out to Avis. Avis doesn't pay very much. And it's definitely not a long-term job for me. But Avis is currently doing EVs. And I'm really interested in that. I could really help them out with their EVs because apparently they just have a level 1 charger, like a 120 volt charger. And that's why it takes them 2-3 days to get their cars charged to put them on the road. And I could have them ready in half an hour to an hour each. So I did send them a resume and just told them, just came from Enterprise, spent 6 years there. Obviously, you're not paying more than Enterprise paid, or even near what I was making in Enterprise. But at the same time, I'd like to help. I'm interested in EVs. I'm interested in driving the future of electrification. So maybe I could, if nothing else, show them how to do it and, have fun while I'm doing it. My biggest thing is no one there knows anything about electric, and they have electric cars. What do you do when a customer has a problem, needs help? No one knows how to answer those questions. They just probably swap them into something else and say, oh, well, I could help them with that. I'd go so far to say that I would even put my phone number on a business card so that we could give those EV customers and say, if you have any problems, questions, whatever, call this number. We'll be glad to help. And as an employee of the company, I'd be glad to do that. I'm always about going above and beyond. I'm always about finding a better way to do things. And, you can ask all of my coworkers and direct managers from my most recent job. I do go above and beyond at all times because why not? If I'm able, I'm capable, I'm going to. And, yeah. So, anyway, let's go to Walmart. That's where I always go, apparently. Let's go to Walmart.